We're ready to lead off. The ball swinging, and there it goes. And it's 1-0 Phillies. Schwarber in the regular season. Now Harper deep into right center, and he'll watch this one fly.
Welcome to FT Postgame Live. We've got instant feedback on Diamondbacks Phillies Game 1 of the NLCS.
You are now listening to Foul Territory. Welcome to the show.
Hey, party people. Happy birthday, Bryce Harper, 31 years old. What do you do for your birthday when you're hosting an NLCS Game 1 for the city that...
Dropped the 3-1. 3.
The birthday candles. See the birthday candles?
I didn't see the birthday candles.
Kratz, did you see the birthday candles?
Uh-uh.
I thought he did a birthday candle celebration. Yeah, blowing out the candles, celebrating when he hit his home run.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah,
I just saw him do the 3-1-1-3.
There's the dinger. It's Braun, Kratz, Przinski. We're watching the smash. So it was Harper after Schwarber. And then Nick Castellanos had a run of 5 home runs in 8 at-bats, which is excellent.
Which is below average.
What?
Below average.
Below average? Yeah.
5 home runs.
What happened to the other 3 ABs? I mean, that place was insane. But for all of that, Kratz, as crazy as Philly was, a little bit of nail biting at the end as the Diamondbacks started creeping back. And, you know, after Zach Gallen's outing, the bullpen held up pretty good for AZ, which has been an underrated component of what they're doing. And the offense started to kind of chip away, but they ran out of time.
They did run out of time, but I don't know that it was nail-biting. I think you were surprised by the Perdomo. Essentially, I was a little surprised Wheeler came out. But at 81 pitches, only 2 mistakes, giving up the hit to Longoria, which was just kind of get ahead, and then Perdomo got him. But I don't know that it was necessarily nail-biting. I guess anytime you put Kimbrel in the game, it's a little nail-biting, but I didn't feel like it was – I couldn't feel it here and so close to the stadium. I couldn't feel the nail-bitingness.
Oh.
Fair.
Yeah, it got a little hairy there a little bit though. First and third, Alek Thomas hits the ball to right center. Castellanos and has not the greatest looking catch in the world on it. And,
yeah, that was.
It was a little bit interesting. I think. Listen, the Diamondbacks, they lost first loss of the postseason. Even though Bob Nightingale disagreed with me on his tweet earlier, where he said the Rangers were the only undefeated team left in the postseason after they won. But, you know, what do I know that Bob doesn't? You know, the Diamondbacks lose for the first time this postseason, especially with Zack Gallen on the mound. But, I mean, Wheeler, it's a big money pitcher. Too bad he already signed. Too bad he didn't sign with the White Sox. I hate you, Wheeler, for not doing that. But that's a whole different story. I mean, he's been amazing in the postseason the last couple of years.
I feel bad for the fans that are watching AJ just hoping he says White Sox playing the drinking game where they have to, like, I don't know, do 3 shots if they hear White Sox in a Phillies Diamondbacks NLCS
we had Wheeler on. He said
show.
He was going to sign with the White Sox. His wife wouldn't let him, remember?
Yeah.
And they offered him more money, I think, too.
They did offer him more money.
I don't know what happened.
She's smart. Money can't change the world.
Winning can.
Money
a lot
can't
of
make
whiffs.
you happy, but you can buy shit that does.
That's right. 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 8 Ks, a lot of whiffs.
Dude, how good was
81
his sinker,
pitches.
by the way, early?
Sinker was disgusting early. So did you feel like the stuff was a little bit down
No.
in the 6th?
Did I miss something? I mean, he gave up 1 homer.
Right.
But also at the same time, Rob Thompson was like, all right, I got Alvarado. I got all my boys ready to go. Alvarado's been an absolute stud for him the last 2 postseasons in a row. Sir Anthony came in, did his job. And he gave up a run.
Yeah.
But, I mean, listen, and Alvarado came in, and then Kimbrel came in. It was over.
Unearned run.
Still 5-3. I mean,
PFP.
dude gets on. Yeah, but dude gets on in the 9th, Kratz, like, home run and we're tied. Just saying.
Yeah, but a tie's not a loss.
I know. No, I know. That Phillies still looked
That
super
ball was
strong.
pissed on that in the game.
My point is, it looked at one point like Philadelphia might have just truck sticked over them, and that was not the case, right? I mean, this was a 5-0 ball game So I think the point is, it's not necessarily like the Diamondbacks can't hang with this team. Is that
No,
fair?
they can. Listen, the Diamondbacks are here for a reason. It's not like they're awful this year. I mean, but they needed Zack Gallen to not give up a home run first pitch of the game, get the crowd going. We talked about it in the earlier game. In these games, whoever scores first has such an advantage. And then you go out first pitch homer in Philly in the Citizens Bank Small Park. I mean, boom. And then you get Harper homer on his birthday, and he's doing the blow candle thingy, right? And then you get Castellanos going Oppo. I mean, it's just, listen, this is what Philly has done the last 2 years in the postseason. They just bludgeon teams, and they're a really good team. And if you get Wheeler and you get Nola and you get Suarez that give them any sort of pitching, they are hard to beat, especially in Philadelphia.
Should we press the fast forward button, Kratz, and just get to Rangers-Phillies World Series or what?
No. You get to see this team play in this ballpark. Nick Castellanos, 5 for 8, and you forget before that 5 for 8, his last 8, do you know what he did as at bat before? Attaboy Harper play. So he technically put a ball up against the wall, and then he hit 5 dingers in his next 8 at-bats. Like, this team, you want to see this entire series. I don't care. I don't think there's a sweep in here. I just think there's too much. It's so hard to sweep a team in a 7-game series.
I'll say this, though. It's not that hard. I've seen it.
I mean, I've done it.
But, I've done it. I will say this, though. The Diamondbacks better win tomorrow.
With Kelly?
With Kelly. Because after that, it goes fat, fought, however you say it. Fat, fought, fat, PF. P is silent, which is amazing. Great last name, by the way. Makes mine look super easy. But they have him, who they don't know what they're going to get, and then they really have a bullpen game 4 before they can get back to Gallen. They better come out tomorrow. Again, they better score first. You got to score first in these games. It seems so elementary to be like, oh, he says that all the time. Well, guess what? Because it matters in these games. You score first, you shut down the Philly crowd, and you give your pitchers a chance to settle in. And tonight, Corbin Carroll led off the game with a single, never got off first. Punchy, right? I think. Well, I know he punched out.
No,
Marte punched out. Yeah, 3 punch-outs, right? And Carroll never even got a chance to steal. So,
yeah.
What did Christian Walker do? He punched out too, didn't he?
Ground ball.
Or pop
Oh, Pop-up, that's
ground
right.
ball.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's right.
Ground
Sorry.
ball to turn.
I know he punched out Marte and Tommy Pham. But, I mean, you got to score first. It's such a mental thing in these playoff games. You got to score first because these teams are so good, it's so hard to come back on.
I think you'll probably see Ryan Nelson in game 4, which they've already seen, which is you're never giving games away, but like that's a tough matchup if that's who you're rolling out there. But I think there's so
who
much.
would the Phillies pitch?
I think it'll be a combo. Taijuan Walker
And Sanchez?
and then Christopher Sanchez. I haven't honestly looked because Sanchez is more of like that changeup guy, and Taiwan's throwing the splitter from the right side. I haven't looked to see where that matchup is, but I think it's one time through the lineup for both those guys, and then hopefully you have 5 innings, and then you go bullpen, and that's game 4, so it's a middle game of the games down in Arizona. So it's gonna be interesting, especially because these offenses are 2 completely different offenses. And yes, they were coming back in this game, but I don't think the Diamondbacks had enough based on what the Phillies bullpen was going to give them the rest of that game. Even if Kimbrel gets in a little trouble there, you can go to Hoffman. You still have an opportunity to go to Soto if there's some kind of lefty-lefty matchup that you have. The Phillies bullpen is stacked city.
Highlight 8, who's hanging in the chat right now, said, Walker on how many days rest? Yikes.
Well, yeah, 21 days rest or whatever it is. He's going to be too rested to pitch. 2 things. One, I love the approaches that the Rangers and the Phillies have had. They swing early. against these guys. There's no taking pitches. There's no they're swinging early. Look, I mean, first pitch from Schwarber, even today against Framber. The Rangers, first pitch, Simeon, boom, right? Base hit. Get him going. Let's go. Seager, boom, first pitch. 2 pitches, it's first and second, no outs. 4 runs later, their game's over. And then tonight, first pitch, boom, Schwarber, homer. I love that approach against guys that are going to be in the strike zone. And the second thing I'm going to say, and I don't know, people can get mad at me. I don't really care about this one, but Castellanos' kids is like a star on the he's everywhere, obviously, because he hits homers every at bat. But he had a champion sweatshirt on today. You know, the brand Champion.
Yeah,
that was the brand that you got at Kmart back in the day that nobody wanted to wear. Now
maybe it's cool again.
Now it's super fashionable. But before, when I was growing up, you're like, oh my God, you got a Champion sweatshirt on? What are you doing? Now it's the cool thing. It's
Times
weird.
have changed.
Really?
I know. Yeah. Oh, maybe up north it was cool, but not down here.
I mean,
Champion
look up how was
No,
it? I don't remember.
Not down
honestly,
here.
Either way. But,
Huh.
Kratzy, we were more Gucci, Louis Vuitton. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you Florida boys, you guys were looking for some Louis, some LV.
I'm serious. I don't mean that as a knock at all, but I'm serious. That was champion. You're champion.
That sweatshirt looked fresh though, with the jacket over.
It did. That's what I'm saying. It's amazing how it's changed.
Well, the brand might have come back. I didn't think we were going to go here, but I mean, while we're at it, the Kelsey brothers were at the game.
They were. No Taylor Swift either.
I can confirm Taylor Swift was going to be on our show, but they were going to the Phillies game, so she didn't come on our show.
But she didn't go.
No, they were going to the game, so she didn't want to come into Philly.
Oh, to upstage them with their appearance? How much do you think MLB paid for them to be there?
Nothing. They just gave him tickets and some beers.
Nah, I think they paid them.
You think they paid him to go to the game?
No, they were.
Yeah, they did stuff on social for them.
Did they?
I saw some social media action.
Oh. Smart by MLB. They might be actually trying to get some new people to tune in.
Hey, you know what? When you were talking, 2 things that Max Muncy said today on our show. He said about how last time Merrill Kelly came out and was a completely different Merrill Kelly, talking about a dude that they face all the time in their division. So I'll be interested to see what Merrill Kelly comes out when we do our watch party tomorrow. And he also said the exact same thing you just said. He goes, we're a team that really watches a lot of pitches. And then in the playoffs, these teams come out and just rip. I wanted to ask Max, but we ran out of time. I wanted to ask him, can you, as a unaggressive team that works the count and really, lets guys kind of not hang around, but you basically knock them out early, can you change that and become aggressive? Because I always felt like dudes like myself who were ultra aggressive and just swung at a bunch of stuff had a tough time toning that down. So I wanted to, it's an interesting thing that you bring up, and I think Max punched on it too earlier in the show.
I'm going to guess that it's harder to go from being aggressive to non versus.
No, I disagree.
It's the opposite.
Because I was aggressive and I could tone it down in the playoffs.
You could?
I could lock it in better.
Do you think it's hard for guys that like to?
Yes, I think it's harder to go. I think it's harder to go the other way because you're so used to, as Kratzy always says, tunneling it or zoning it or aerating it, whatever you are. It's easier for me. It was always easier to shrink the area than make it bigger, right? Because if you make it bigger, that is like a Max Muncy type who's so patient. All of a sudden, you're like, this is so weird for me. But when you get into the postseason and you're ultra aggressive, like I was, it's easier to shrink your focus down and be like, okay, I'm really going to focus. Because, I mean, let's be honest, I kind of had ADD anyways, I think. So I was kind of all over the place. But then we get to the playoffs and I could focus because I was like, man, these games mean so much.
Didn't you feel like
Corey
you had
Seager had 1 billion walks last round, by the way?
1,000,000%. I mean, as much as you want to say, oh, you play every game 100% locked in. I mean, you get a day game in July where you're a little tired or whatever, and it's not the same as first game of the postseason. You're way more intense, way more ready.
Superpowers. I always felt like you got superpowers. If you have power, you have extra juice. If you have a hose,
of course,
you're throwing harder. And I don't think Gallen ever got that tonight. One thing he said in his pregame press conference yesterday, he was like, I'm playing for free this next 2 games. All the tickets that he had to put out there playing in Philly. That's a real thing. Playoff tickets are expensive.
Hey, Zack Wheeler outshined him. Let's run our player of the game.
Foul territory player of the game.
Mr. Wheeler.
This thing or not?
6 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 8 punch-outs.
Who picks these? Because I didn't get a vote in this one. I wouldn't have gone with him.
Who did you want?
I would have gone Schwarber. First pitch, Schwarbomb, got a crowd going. I thought
You think he is the player of the game?
he was because of tonight. I know Zack Wheeler pitched well, but I still feel like the biggest thing that happened in that game was Schwarber hitting that home run. First of all, it gets him off the schneid for the postseason, and it got the crowd just going crazy.
Ugh. They had to turn down the volume on the TBS telecast because it was like you could see the camera shaking, and it was just another level. Like they weren't even the rich people. They weren't standing in that time, but behind them there, everybody's standing.
Kratz, do you agree with AJ that Schwarber was the most impactful player in this win for the Phils, or was it Zack Wheeler?
It's an MVP. It's not who got the crowd the most hype. It's the MVP. I completely disagree with AJ.
We all have you have your opinion. It's wrong, but that's no problem. Here's the thing. It's MVP, right? He gave him the lead. It was game-winning RBI. Got the crowd going. He just did more than Wheeler. I mean, listen, Wheeler 6 innings, great job. Tip my cap. He seems like he does it every time. But for this particular moment in this particular game, it was Kyle Schwarber. But I don't get a vote, so it doesn't matter what I think.
Yeah, you
might get a vote in the future. You haven't been on here enough. You know,
I mean, we've done 2 of these. I've done 2 of them.
No,
I think you missed
we've done more than 2
or something. Yeah, we've done more than 2. You missed something.
Sorry, I was working. I was at a game doing the game. I was doing the actual game.
Sorry, I was doing a real game.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I was actually in the booth calling the games.
Here's a question from Corey Katz, not related to Kratz. How hard is bring it back? Thank you. How hard is that play Dominguez couldn't make on the grounder back to him? So Sir Anthony could have turned 2 and ended up nothing, and could have been a problem, but wasn't.
Well, as a pitcher who has turned 2 when in the big leagues on a ground ball back to him, it's super easy. You set your feet and throw. The difference is I make that throw and all the time. Pitchers, for whatever reason, the guys who don't make that throw, you saw him he kind of got out there a little bit and slinged it, but the pitch before that almost hit Christian Walker. So who knows what he's dealing with. I feel like that play is harder for pitchers than it should be. But going back up the hill, he set his feet. Maybe he kind of nonchalanted the throw, but he set his feet and zooed it.
I have an old saying in baseball: he threw in the shitter. So did the catcher.
So did Moreno.
Moreno threw in the shitter too. Because, the bathroom's at the end of the dugout, so it's a shitter. So when you throw in the shitter.
It makes sense.
Is
that what you would tell a pitcher to try and get him to calm down after a situation like that?
Yeah, he threw in the shitter?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I would like that line. If I was on the mound, like, it's all good, dude. Threw in the shitter. You got a new ball.
Yeah. Need a new ball. That's right. Got poo all over it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, just certain guys that we saw in the first game. We saw Fromber have a hard time, threw one away, right? Pitchers, John Lester for years couldn't throw a ball to first. Nobody would bunt on him. I don't know. It was one of those weird things that just certain people can't do it, but it's a valuable skill as a pitcher if you can throw the ball to the bases and field your position.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest defensive pitcher in the postseason right now is Jordan Montgomery. Watch him field a ground ball and throw it to the first base. He did it yesterday. He fielded it and he ran it halfway over to first base and then flipped it.
Yeah, because he's a super athlete, okay?
Yeah.
I heard it on a channel that talks about baseball for 8 minutes a year.
not
athlete, Jordan Montgomery. Trust me, we know.
He's
super pitcher,
rich.
though. Yeah, super rich. And I mean, that can be the case for Aaron Nola. I'll say this, Montgomery is great all season long, and then he's just showing it off on the national stage as basically their number one starter right now. Aaron Nola struggled quite a bit this year, much more than you see in the past, no? I mean, his ERA was well into the fours. You had some good, you had some bad. You had more home runs than you usually
He's an
saw.
interesting free agent to me, though, because he's kind of done this his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, like, he hasn't been, like, overly acy, but he's been a very solid pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not a guy where yeah. Like, he's never the guy where you're like, oh, man, this dude's just going to dominate for 30 starts this year. He's around 4 ERA. Very good.
Posts.
Like, a very, very good pitcher.
Pitches.
He pitches every day, every fifth day, but it's not like, oh, man, this dude's, Max Scherzer in his prime or Verlander in his prime, where you're going to be like, oh, man, he's going to give us a 2 ERA this year or 30 starts and 17 wins. And it's a little bit less than that, but it's still very good. So it's going to be interesting to see because he's a little bit older too. He's had some success. He's had some success in the postseason, right? So it's like, it's going to be sad when he leaves Philly because he's one of those guys that just fits Philly.
Apparently he was asking for like 8 years, $200 when they were talking. I think that was one of the rumor reporty kind of things I saw. He's 30 years old right now. About 30 and a half.
I was gonna say 180. The guy makes his starts.
Not that far off.
Yeah, he makes his starts.
And that's so valuable. That's so valuable. And I think, like, his best year, I think the Phillies screwed him over because they got rid of Rick Kranitz, who since then has done a pretty decent job in Atlanta.
Like, yeah, he's good in Atlanta.
I just feel like you're getting what you pay for. I mean, there's so many 30s in that start column there.
And there's a 237.
There is the 1 year. 2018, he had a great year.
Whew. Yeah. And then they fired Rick Kranitz because they went with Chris Young because they hyped himself up that he was the next pitching coach the other teams wanted. Kranitz was like,
not
that's
that
fine.
Chris Young.
Yeah, not that one.
Not the Rangers Chris Young people.
No.
Still in the bigs, I think.
This is another guy who was overmatched and it didn't work out. But Rick Kranitz and Nola was unbelievable with it. He said that was my favorite pitching coach I ever had. And I think I think it's in there, but anytime you're out there every single start, there's such a value. You're automatically a $100 million pitcher.
Oh, I agree.
Easy. Yeah.
No, it's not that he's not going to get paid. It's just that it's going to be interesting to see if there's a team that'll bite on a $200 million contract, right?
I will tell you this. I know it's easy to say it now, and the stuff is very different. But last year, if you said, hey, do you want Aaron Nola for the next 5 years or Jacob deGrom for the next 5 years? For the same money, I would take Aaron Nola.
Well, he pitches.
Correct.
Jacob deGrom
especially
5 years, 185 for deGrom.
Well, Nola's not going to get that.
I understand, but I'm just saying.
All right, well then who would you rather have? Would you rather have Jordan Montgomery or Aaron Nola?
Kratz? It's a good question for Kratz because he's got ties to both.
That is a great question.
You can only have one. For the next 5 years or for one start or both?
For the next contract.
Yeah, their next contract. So if Monty gets 7, Nola gets 6.
They're the same age, virtually. They're the same age, 30 years old, going on 31.
I gotta take Nola.
Okay, fair. Nola's 90 and 71, 3.72. Monty is 38 and 34 with a 3.68.
Wow.
In their big league careers. Monty has 140 starts and Nola has 235 starts.
I'll answer the question after I see game 2.
I know it's just interesting because honestly, those are probably the biggest names out there. Free agents.
Sonny Gray
after this. Sonny, yeah.
Sonny's a little up there in age, though. No, there are bigger names.
Don't say Shohei.
No. Oh. Blake Snell just won the Cy Young.
Okay, Blake Snell. You're right. But again, but here's the thing about Blake Snell. He's had 2 really, really good years, and then the rest are
understood. Yamamoto, I know you don't know what you're getting, but he's going to get paid.
Of course.
We'll get to him. I'll show you some video over the offseason.
Okay, you were over there scouting in Japan?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Spent a lot of time there.
No, but the entire Yankees,
Yeah,
the entire Yankees, their entire Yankees farm system is out there scouting. When we did that Somerset game, Scott, when we went to Somerset, the Yankee scout came in because it was raining, and he was like, "Dude, we've sent so many people. They're over there right now watching him. They've watched so many starts." And then he threw the no-hitter, and that's when Cashman came and watched him. Crazy. This dude's
show the man the money.
Yeah.
There's going to be some cheese.
Going to get paid. All right, so final thoughts on what you're expecting for Game 2 here with the Phils. Do the Diamondbacks have a chance?
They do, because Merrill Kelly.
Okay.
They do, and they got to score first.
Yeah,
got to score first.
They're capable.
They're 100% capable. They need Corbin Carroll to get on like you did.
Yes.
They need him to run. They need to put some pressure on him. Maybe a little Torey Lovello hit and run piece, whatever it is. But for me, the Diamondbacks got to score first. Try to take the crowd out of it. Try to give them some confidence, and try to just break the confidence of the Phillies somehow.
That's why I think this second half of Game 1 was important for them. They didn't. It's a game in my mind, Kratz, that could have been 9-1 or something like that, and you would have been like, "Oh, they are fucked." And it just didn't feel that way. I felt like, okay, this team's got some fight.
I don't feel like Zack Gallen's going to give up that. Like, this is the peak amount of runs that Zack Gallen's going to give up. Like, I think they got everything that they could off of him. And then they started hitting balls hard, and it was right at them. I think both teams were hitting balls hard late, and just at 'em balls. But I think the issue will be if Nola gets guys on base, the running game will be tough to slow down. So this is their chance to, quote, upset them.
It's going to be a good one, and if you would like to enjoy the game with us, we will do a watch party on this Very Foul Territory YouTube channel live. Hang out with us. Yes, exactly. Much more of this content.
Here's something, by the way, Kratz, I don't know if you probably not agree with me on this, but I'm such not a believer in like scoring runs late and that carries over to the next day. Like Scott's like, oh, they kept it close. Dude, no.
It means nothing.
It means nothing.
Cool.
It means nothing.
I will say this. If you beat up a bullpen because you're scoring late, then yes, it means something. But other than that, no. I felt like what the Diamondbacks did at the end there, it didn't really blip my radar.
No, it wasn't like it wasn't like it was like 9-1 and they had to get Kimbrel up and get. I mean, it was just a pretty standard win for the Phillies.
You had to look at some high leverage relievers for Arizona. No, nothing. Okay.
You think they haven't seen Alvarado or Kimbrel or anybody yet?
I think some people are going to watch this post game show and be like, Braun just hates the Phils. No, the Phils I have winning the World Series before we started out the postseason. So I'm with you. I see it. I'm just wondering if we're going to have a series at all, if they're just going to get steamrolled. I had to say it one time in the post game. Also, I'll drop this before we leave. There is a pretty famous former closer who has ties to Philadelphia who might join us for that watch party. Chances are pretty likely.
Brad Hand?
No. Oh. Chances are pretty likely if he remembers, but he said yes. So
is it Brad
Lidge?
Is it Brad Lidge?
It's not any of the names that were just said, but
I'm trying to think of it.
I'll give you one
Dan
other
Plesac?
hint. He was on one of our shows under our umbrella recently.
Is it Dan Plesac in his hair?
No, none of those peeps. We will see everyone for the watch party, Game 2 of the NLCS, and then also we'll cover what we saw in post, so you can watch those videos as well. We're here for you all postseason long baseball the way it should be covered. Yes, Frankie in the chat just threw out a name that, screw it, why not?
Billy
Yeah,
Wagner?
Papelbon should be on. If you're watching this right now, we should have Papelbon on, okay? And we'll give him 8 cups of coffee because he needs it. He'll be so tired. He has no energy ever. All right, we'll see everyone for Game 2 of the NLCS with the Phils grabbing a 1-0 lead over the D-backs. Thanks for hanging with us on FT Live. Braun, Brzezinski, Kratz.
I can't leave here with that.